everyone, this is Puppy Maroon, and today I will go over the Sonic story for Sonic the Hedgehog, Children of Solaris. It is a beautiful and festive night in Soliana. Tourists and locals alike are gathered around an enormous cauldron in the center of town. In front of the cauldron, 4 young ladies are dancing gracefully. When they finish dancing, the women curtsy before the spectators and disappear behind the cauldron. From behind the cauldron emerge the 2 princesses of Soliana, Princess Elise III and Princess Aurora the Nightingale. They each hold a torch in their hands and turn to face the cauldron. At that moment, Elise's eyes suddenly widen in horror. From her perspective, we see a sinister, crystallized creature that somewhat resembles a hedgehog rise up from the ground. The creature slowly approaches Elise, getting closer and closer until... Elise? Elise is snapped out of her trance by her little sister. Did you have that vision again? Elise smiles at her little sister. Yeah, but it's all right now. Elise and Aurora then hold their torches out to the cauldron and close their eyes. Solaris, we are forever in your debt. We honor you tonight for everything you've done for us. With that, the 2 princesses light up the cauldron together. Everyone marvels at the flames that emit from the cauldron. Elise and Aurora turn towards the crowd and curtsy and wave at it as the fireworks begin. But suddenly, several missiles are fired around the crowd. Fearing for their lives, everyone starts to flee. Elise and Aurora are surrounded by several badniks before they can escape. From the sky descends Dr. Eggman in his Eggmobile. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance, Princesses of Soliana. My name is Dr. Eggman. What do you want from us now? Well, as I'm sure you're aware, I currently have 2 of the 3 children of Solaris in my clutches. Now I am in search of the 3rd child of Solaris. But try as I might, I can't seem to find any information on that 3rd child of Solaris. And that's where you 2 princesses come in. I believe you have information on the 3rd child of Solaris that would help me acquire them. Now, if you be good girls and cooperate, no one will get hurt. But if you don't, this entire town will be destroyed. Elise and Aurora turn to each other. They are both thinking the same thing. They don't want anyone to get hurt, but they also don't want anyone to use the powers of the children of Solaris for evil. At that moment, there is a great whirlwind. And who should be the perpetrator of that whirlwind but Sonic the Hedgehog? My, that's a pretty snazzy performance there. Elise's eyes meet Sonic's and she gasps. She recognizes that hedgehog. She had dreams and visions about him. But whereas the hedgehog had golden fur and red eyes in her vision and dreams, here he has blue fur and green eyes. Ew! It can't be! Sonic smiles warmly at Elise. At that moment, the badniks open fire on Sonic. Elise watches as Sonic demolishes the robots with ease. But one of the badniks escapes with Aurora before Sonic can destroy it. Elise! Aurora! Sonic takes care of the last badnik and rushes to Elise's side. Please, you have to save my sister. No problem, Princess. Wait, Can you take me with you? Don't mind if I do. Sonic takes Elise into his arms and they head off together after the runaway Badnik. Eggman clenches his fists. Not that blue rat again! He fires several missiles at Sonic in an attempt to stop the hedgehog, but to no avail. Elise clings to Sonic for dear life, frightened but also excited. In the distance, a mysterious hedgehog with fur the color of snow spots Elise. I finally found her. The only thing standing between this world and a good future. As they are in pursuit of the Badnik, Sonic and Elise introduce themselves to each other. My name is Princess Elise III. What is your name? I'm Sonic, Sonic the Hedgehog. At that moment, the Badnik meets up with several other Badniks and they form a protective circle around Aurora. Sonic sets Elise down and destroys the robots. Thank you so much, kind hedgehog. I don't know what we would do without you. Oh, it was nothing. Sonic! Sonic and Aurora turn around just in time to see Eggman whisking Elise away. I was going to use Aurora as bait with the third child of Solaris, but Elise will do. Let her go right now, Eggman. Or what? You'll beat me into an omelet? If you want to get me, you'll have to go through your little princess friend. It's okay, Sonic. You can come rescue me later. She's right, Sonic. You can come rescue her later after I have all 3 children of Solaris. Sonic and Aurora watch as Eggman disappears into his battleship, taking Elise with him. Aurora then turns to Sonic. You'll save Elise, right, Sonic? Of course I will. Please save Elise, Sonic. She's the only family I have left. I promise you, Aurora, I will rescue Elise. Thank you, Sonic. We then cut to the next day where Sonic runs into Tails. Sonic! Hey, Tails! What are you doing here in Soliana? I heard about the Festival of Solaris, so I came here to Soliana to check it out. I had so much fun at the festival last night, until Eggman crashed the party, of course. Tails notices that Sonic looks more concerned than usual. I heard about what happened to Elise last night. You're going to rescue her, right? Of course I am, but don't worry, Sonic. I know you will. And I'm going to be right by your side to help you. Sonic smiles at Tails and gives him a thumbs up. Okay, with your help, this should be a piece of cake. Tails smiles back. I've located Eggman's whereabouts. He's currently in Wave Ocean. Thanks, buddy. Let's head there right away. With that, Sonic and Tails head for Wave Ocean. Here we come to the first level of the Sonic story, Wave Ocean. For the first part of the level, you play as Sonic. When you reach the end of Sonic's section, Sonic and Tails reach Eggman's battleship just in time to see it flying away. Darn, we're not going to make it. Don't worry, Sonic. We'll follow Eggman in the tornado. This leads into the next section of the Wave Ocean level that has you play as Tails. After you finish the level, a cutscene plays that has Elise sitting in a cage in a temple in Dusty Desert. She had learned that the 2 stolen children of Solaris, Luminous and Solara, had gone missing. Even though Elise is relieved that Luminous and Solara are no longer in Eggman's clutches, she can't help but worry about where they can be now. Her worst fear is that Luminous and Solara are in the clutches of that monster the 3 of them have been having nightmares and visions about. Suddenly, Elise hears a loud crash. It's Sonic and Tails. Tails drops Sonic down to the ground and waves hello to Elise. Mr. Sonic! Just call me Sonic. Sonic opens the cage door and lets Elise out. Elise drops to her knees and embraces Sonic. You're not hurt, are you? Don't worry, I'm alright. I'm just so glad you came. I always keep my word. Sonic! Sonic turns around just in time to see Eggman and his egg Cerberus mech. The princess is mine until I have obtained all 3 children of Solaris and their destined hosts. Children of Solaris? Destined hosts? What are you rambling about, Eggman? That is none of your concern. Now, you and Sonic go run along. Not a chance, Eggman. Thus begins the first boss battle of the Sonic story, the Egg Cerberus boss battle. For this version of the Egg Cerberus boss battle, I am altering the Egg Cerberus's design to make it look more like a Cerberus. I am also going to have Tails and Sonic work together in the boss battle. The Egg Cerberus will attack you by shooting fireballs from its mouths, attempting to slam you with its heads, and occasionally chasing you around the arena. You will need to have Tails pick you up to avoid some of the fireballs. To damage the boss, wait until the middle head slams to the ground. When that happens, press the attack button while Tails is up in the air holding Sonic. Doing so will have Sonic and Tails form a shuriken similar to the one they form in the IDW comics that slams into the head. Doing so will expose Eggman and his Eggmobile, which acts as the boss's weak spot. You can then attack the weak spot by either having Sonic homing attack it several times, or by having Sonic and Tails perform their shuriken move on it. Attack the weak spot 3 times, and the Egg Cerberus is down for the count. This is meant to be a fun boss battle where Sonic and Tails exchange banter with Eggman. After the Egg Cerberus is defeated, a cutscene plays that has Eggman struggling to get out of his destroyed mech. Sonic and Tails decide to take this opportunity to get Elise to safety. So Sonic picks up Elise and the 3 of them head off for the tornado. We now enter the second level of the Sonic story, Dusty Desert. In this level, you play as Sonic as he carries Elise to the tornado. As he progresses through the level, Sonic mentions that having Elise in his arms somehow makes him stronger. Your moveset for Sonic as he carries Elise is similar to your moveset for Sonic in other instances where you play as him, except you use the button for spin dashing to power up a flame shield. This flame shield will give you invincibility for a brief period of time. After you finish the level, a cutscene plays that has Sonic, Tails, and Elise in the tornado. One of the badniks manages to chase them down and prepares to fire at them. Sonic notices this and launches himself at the badnik, but it's too late. The badnik fires, grazing Sonic's arm and hitting the tornado. Sonic tussles with the badnik as Tails is forced to make an emergency landing. After Tails safely lands the tornado, he and Elise rush over to Sonic to see if he's okay. They find Sonic standing triumphantly over the destroyed badnik. Sonic, are you okay? Sonic gives Tails and Elise a thumbs up. Elise notices Sonic's wound and gasps, Sonic, your arm! Sonic looks at his arm and winces at the wound, but tries to play it off as nothing. Don't say that. Elise gets down on her knees and grabs hold of Sonic's wrist. She places her other hand over Sonic's wound and an orange glow emits from her hand. And just like that, Sonic's wound is gone. Sonic and Tails stare in amazement. Elise, how did you do that? It's just a special power I have. Elise then gets up and curtsies before Sonic and Tails. Sonic, Tails, I have no words for how grateful I am for your help. Sonic gives Elise a thumbs up. Oh, it's nothing. It's what we do. Tails also gives Elise a thumbs up. It sure is. Tails then checks on the tornado. The tornado has taken some damage. I should be able to fix it, but it'll take a few minutes. That'll work. Sonic then suggests to Elise that they go for a little walk while Tails fixes the tornado. Elise obliges. As they are walking, Sonic asks Elise a question. Eggman mentioned something about the children of Solaris and their destined hosts. Can you give an explanation on what he meant by that? Of course. Centuries ago, there lived a Mobian eagle named Solaris. He was a brave, wise, and kind warrior with incredible powers that protected Soliana from evil. Out of all the threats that Solaris had faced, none had been more dangerous than Mephiles the Dark. Mephiles was an evil spirit that desired to capture and possess Solaris, so he could recreate the world into one devoid of light, joy, warmth, and hope. Solaris managed to stop Mephiles and seal him away into an alternate dimension at the cost of his own life. After his death, Solaris' soul was sealed away in a glass case, so no one would be able to use his powers for evil. For centuries, Solaris' soul remained within that glass case. Then one day, about 10 years ago, Mephiles returned. He was not as strong as he used to be, but he was still dangerous, and he tried to possess Solaris again. There was an explosion, and Solaris' soul was split into 3 parts. Those 3 parts became his children. The children needed hosts, or else they would be left vulnerable to anyone that wanted to use their powers for evil. So the children of Solaris were each given a host in the form of a scepter. There's a prophecy that states that there will come a day when the world will need Solaris again, and Solaris will only be brought back when the children of Solaris are with their destined hosts and are infused with the power of the Gems of Miracles. What are the Gems of Miracles? And who are the destined hosts? Well, the Gems of Miracles are what us people of Soliana call the Chaos Emeralds. We call them the Gems of Miracles because legend has it that you can perform miracles with all 7 emeralds. As for destined hosts, the prophecy doesn't say who they are, but it does state that the destined hosts will appear in dreams and visions of the children of Solaris, infused with the power of the Gems of Miracles. Elise then stops walking. Sonic, I'm worried. I've been having these nightmares and visions about Mephiles, and I fear that he might soon return. And with 2 of the children of Solaris missing, I'm worried that Mephiles will capture and possess them. He might not have enough power to recreate the world, but I can only imagine the devastation that would ensue. Sonic walks up to Elise and takes her hands into his. Don't worry, Elise. I won't let that happen, I promise. At that moment, a butterfly flutters in and lands on Sonic's nose. Elise giggles and holds her finger out to the butterfly. The butterfly hops over to Elise's finger and rests there for a moment before fluttering away. You have a very beautiful smile, Elise. Thank you, Sonic. Anyway, Tails should have finished fixing the tornado by now. Let's head back. Of course. We then cut to later that day, where Sonic, Tails, and Elise arrive at Soliana Town. Suddenly, a crate comes flying right towards Elise. Sonic manages to get her out of the way just in time. The mysterious white hedgehog floats down to the ground. I've been looking for you, Princess of Soliana. Your actions will condemn us all. Sonic and Tails stand protectively in front of Elise. Who are you? My name is Silver, and I am here to destroy this princess. Tails, get Elise to safety. I'm on it. Be careful, Sonic. We now enter the boss battle against Silver. For this battle, Silver will use his psychokinesis to throw crates and boulders at you. You need to perform homing attacks on the boulders to launch them back at Silver, dealing damage to him. If you perform homing attacks on the crates Silver throws at you, the crates will break into pieces. If you get too close to Silver, he will grab you and fling you to the ground, causing you to lose your wings. After you finish the boss battle, a cutscene plays that has both Sonic and Silver hunched over out of breath. You don't understand. The death of the princess is our only chance for a good future. What do you mean our only chance for a good future? Silver looks down at his feet. This is going to sound crazy, but hear me out. I come from a future ravaged by a monster named Iblis. That creature was responsible for so much devastation. I'm the only one left that's fighting to protect what's left of the world. And I'm the only one left who hasn't given up hope. I met this hedgehog named Mephiles, who told me that I can travel back in time and forge a future where Iblis doesn't exist, and everyone is happy and able to enjoy life. But he also said that in order for that to happen, I need to eliminate Princess Elise III of Soliana. Sonic's eyes widen at the mention of Mephiles' name. You don't actually believe that hedgehog, do you? Well, not really. It doesn't seem right to me that someone has to be killed just for there to be a good future. It's just that if I can make it so that everyone will be safe and happy, Silver closes his eyes. Then all my efforts and everything I've been through won't be for nothing. Sonic walks up to Silver. Don't worry, Silver. I'll make sure that your hardships and efforts weren't for nothing. But you have to promise not to harm Elise. Silver nods. And one more thing. Don't trust Mephiles. Sonic then heads off, leaving Silver behind. Sonic then meets up with Tails and Elise in another part of Soliana Town. Sonic, are you okay? Don't worry, I'm fine. I was able to work things out with Silver. So why did Silver attack Elise? Sonic tells Elise and Tails what Silver told him. So Mephiles is using Silver to kill Elise. Exactly, but I warned Silver not to trust Mephiles. So hopefully he'll listen. What I don't get is why Mephiles would want Elise killed. I'm not sure, but I'm positive that's part of Mephiles' plan to capture and possess Solaris. Regardless, we need to stop Mephiles and figure out what created Iblis so we can prevent it from happening. Elise, Tails and I will drop you off at Soliana Castle, and then we'll go look for the missing children of Solaris. As soon as we bring them home, we'll figure out what to do next. That sounds like a plan. We then cut to Soliana Castle, where Aurora is in the library singing a tune. One of the servants comes in with a tray. On the tray is a plate of chocolate chip cookies and a glass of milk. That's a very beautiful tune, Miss Aurora. Did you write it yourself? Aurora takes the glass of milk and plate of cookies and takes a sip from the glass. As a matter of fact, it is. I've been thinking about how much the children of Solaris mean to me, and decided to write a song to let them know how much I love them. I'm now trying to figure out what the lyrics should be. She then takes a bite from one of the cookies. The servant sits down in a chair across from Aurora. That's very nice of you, Miss Aurora. I know how close you and the children of Solaris are. You have always been ever since they were part of Solaris. We then see a young Aurora outside petting one of the chow in the chow garden. Her mother, Queen Elise II, comes outside and walks over to her daughter. Aurora, there's someone me and your father would like for you to meet. Aurora follows her mother into the castle. She is then led into a dark room by her parents. In the center of the room was a glass case containing a tiny white flame. Aurora is led up to the case. From the flame inside the case came a voice. Hello, Aurora. I'm delighted to meet you. Who are you? My name is Solaris. Aurora's eyes light up. Solaris? Mother and father told me so much about you. And your parents told me so much about you. You look even more beautiful than how they described you. Aurora does a little curtsy. Thank you, Mr. Solaris. Just call me Solaris. Aurora's father, the Duke of Soliana, then comes over to the glass case. Solaris, me and Elise have some news for you. We are creating a body for you to inhabit. Solaris' soul glows brightly. I am so happy to hear that. I have been within this case for centuries, and I long to be able to move about and help others again. And having a body to inhabit will allow me to do just that. Aurora places a hand on the glass case. Solaris, when you get your body, will you be my big brother? Solaris' soul glows warmly at her. Of course I will. Aurora smiles back at Solaris. Not long after that day, that fateful explosion occurred, and mother and father were killed, and Solaris' soul was split into three, and those three parts became his children, and I now have one big brother and two big sisters. Aurora looks down at her hands as she clasps them. Do you think Solara was right? That there may come a day when it would have to go on without the children of Solaris? I think Solara may be right. There may come a day when we would all have to go on without the children of Solaris. I just hope it won't be until after the prophecy is fulfilled. Aurora's eyes fill with tears. But what if something happens to Elise and the others? What am I going to do? The servant walks over to Aurora and takes her hand into hers. Don't fret, Miss Aurora. Whatever happens, we will all be there to support you. Aurora exchanges a small smile. We then cut to a little later when Aurora is heading from one part of the castle to another. Suddenly, several badniks enclose Aurora, and the next thing she realizes, Eggman arrives in his Eggmobile. Hello, Princess Aurora. Did you miss me? What do you want now, Eggman? I would like for you to come with me. But why? You're already using my sister as bait for the children of Solaris. A pesky rat had stuck its nose where it didn't belong, or a hedgehog to be more precise, and you took your sister away from my clutches. So I'm going to use you as bait. Aurora looks around at the badniks anxiously and clasps her hands together. We then cut to Sonic, Tails, and Elise arriving at Soliana Castle. The trio are greeted by one of the servants. Miss Elise, thank goodness you're okay. Where's Aurora? I'm not sure. We've looked all over Soliana Castle, but there's no sign of her. Elise looks worried. It's not like Aurora to just up and leave the castle without telling anyone, let alone by herself. What could have happened to her? I might be able to answer that question. Sonic, Tails, and Elise turn around. It's Knuckles the Echidna. Hey Knuckles, it's been a while. What brings you here to Soliana, Knuckles? I was on Angel Island guarding the Master Emerald when I heard a distinctive beeping noise. It was coming from the Master Emerald. When I went over to investigate, the emerald gave me a vision of Soliana engulfed in flames. In the center was a colossal monster. I knew that the emerald sent me that vision for a reason. So I used it to warp here to this city to investigate. It was there that I encountered one of Eggman's robots, and it gave me this. Knuckles hands Sonic a note. According to the note, Aurora is currently being held in Eggman's base in White Acropolis. Elise must come and meet with Eggman there in exchange for Aurora's safe return. I don't think it's a good idea to bring Elise to Eggman. It sounds like a trap. I agree. What I don't get is what Eggman wants with Elise. We know he kidnapped Elise last night to use her as bait for the children of Solaris. But he can just as easily do that with Aurora. I'm not sure what Eggman wants with me. Regardless, I should go meet with him in White Acropolis. My sister is counting on me. Miss Elise? The servant pulls Elise aside. Miss Elise, I think the box is right. This Eggman has likely found out the truth about you. That's the only way to ensure Aurora's safe return. And with the Sonic by my side, I know I have nothing to fear. The servant is silent for a moment before responding. Okay, but please be careful, Miss Elise. We now enter the third level of the Sonic story, White Acropolis. In the first part of the level, you play as Sonic as he carries Elise. During this part of the level, Tails mentions that it's a pretty cold place for a base. Sonic asks Elise if she's sure she's not freezing. She says yes, and Sonic remarks that he feels unusually warm for being in such a cold region. At the end of that section of the level, Sonic and Elise come across a laser fence blocking their way. You now take control of Knuckles as the second part of the level begins. For this section of the level, you need need to find and destroy 5 golden motorbugs to progress. After you have destroyed all 5 golden motorbugs, the laser fence switches off, allowing Sonic and Elise to progress. You now take control of the 2 again for the 3rd and final part of the level. After you finish the level, a cutscene plays that has Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Elise inside Eggman's base. Sonic leads the way, while Tails and Knuckles walk side by side behind Elise. Suddenly, the room starts to shake. Huh? The floor suddenly gives way, and Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles plummet into the basement below. Elise is grabbed by a metal claw and whisked away. Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles land in a glass container and the lid closes on them. Knuckles tries to punch their way out. The attempt is futile. Elise is dropped into a room adjacent to the one Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles are in. Eggman turns around in his chair to greet her. Hello again, Princess Elise. Where's Sonic and the others? They're just on the other side of this glass panel. Elise looks out the glass panel to see Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles trapped inside the glass container. Let them go! It's me you want! Of course it's you I want. However, there's a little test I want to run, and I'm using Sonic and his buddies as guinea pigs. He takes out a carousel milk and gives it to Elise. I would like for you to send Sonic and his friends into the future. How cute. Well, that's a shame, because you're not going to like what happens to them. Eggman pulls a lever. A laser canyon behind Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles begins to charge up. The trio begin to pound in the glass container even harder and more frantically. Elise's eyes meet Sonic's. She knows that if she does this, the truth about her will be revealed. But there is no other way. She can't let harm come to Sonic and his friends. She places the emerald over her heart and closes her eyes. Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles disappear in a flash of light just before the canyon fires, incinerating the glass container. Eggman grins fiendishly as he takes the emerald from Elise. Just as I suspected. You are a child of Solaris. I did what you asked. Now release my sister. Oh, I'm going to hold on to her a little longer. At least until I have obtained the rest of the children of Solaris and their destined hosts. How did you know about us? No one from outside Soliana is supposed to know about the children of Solaris. You can thank a certain somebody named Mephiles for that. Elise gasps. He told me that if I release him, he will reveal to me the secret to power greater than I can imagine. Do you have any idea how much danger you have placed the world in? What are you talking about? Mephiles is an evil spirit who wants to steal our powers, so he can recreate the world into the one he desires. Oh, I wouldn't worry about that. I'll obtain the power of the children of Solaris before he does. In the meantime, you can go join your sister. Elise is then led away by one of the badniks. We then cut to Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles crash landing in a dilapidated room. Boy, do I feel dizzy. Where are we? From behind the trio comes a familiar voice. Well, I certainly didn't expect to see you here. Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles turn to see Shadow, Rouge, and a mysterious Mobian eagle. The eagle has blue, luminous feathers and a beak with no mouth. Shadow, for whatever reason, has a mysterious cyan aura. Rouge! Shadow! Rouge winks at Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. Hi, long time no see. What are you three doing here? That's what we were going to ask you. Plus, who's that eagle guy with you? The eagle closes his eyes and bows before Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. My name is Luminous. I am one of the children of Solaris. Luminous, huh? He addresses Shadow's mysterious aura. I take that Shadow is your destined host? Indeed he is. I take that Elise told you about us? She sure did. Sonic then introduces himself, Tails, and Knuckles to Luminous. Now that you've become acquainted, will you now explain to us how you ended up here? You can blame Egghead for that. Figured as much. But how exactly did Eggman send you here? Eggman trapped us in a glass container and told Elise that he will kill us if she doesn't send us into the future. At the last moment, we were taken into a bright light, and we ended up here. But why would Eggman want Elise to send you into the future? He probably wants us to see the empire he's planning on building. Well, if Eggman were to see the future as it is now, he would be gravely disappointed. What do you mean? Come with me and I'll show you. Everyone followed Luminous outside. Outside was a devastated city. Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles look around the ruined landscape horrified. How did it get this bad? We're not sure, but it may have something to do with the monster plaguing this world. At that moment, the group hear a loud screech echo throughout the landscape. Whatever it is, it doesn't sound very malicious, just sad and hurt. For the sake of this creature and the world, we need to go back to our rightful timeline and prevent this from happening. Luminous sadly shakes his head. I'm afraid it's not that simple. If we go back to the past and change it in any way, it won't change this timeline. Instead, it will create a new timeline that will run parallel to this timeline. Still, we should figure out how this future ended up the way it is, and forge a new timeline where the future doesn't end up like this. That way, everything that everyone in this timeline has gone through won't be for nothing. Okay, but how do we get back to our rightful timeline? Well, one of the powers me and my siblings have is the ability to time travel. However, because we've been weakened after being split apart, we won't be able to time travel without the aid of a Chaos Emerald. Rouge pulls out a discolored emerald. We have a Chaos Emerald in our possession, but a lot of its energy has been used, so we'll have to wait until its power is restored. Normally, we would, but I believe that the jewel in the Echidna's possession would make an excellent substitute. How did you know I have a jewel in my possession? I was able to sense the jewel's presence because it appears to share a connection with the Gems of Miracles. Knuckles pulls out the Master Emerald. You're right. The Master Emerald does share a connection with the Chaos Emeralds. Rouge eyes the Master Emerald. Knuckles stares daggers at her. Don't even think about it. At that moment, the group hears another loud screech, and two enormous balls of energy strike the group. One of the balls hits Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, while the other hits Shadow, Rouge, and Luminous. And the next thing Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles realize, they are in another part of the city. Where's Shadow, Rouge, and Luminous? The trio looks around. Come on, guys! We've got to find them! Quest begins the 4th level of the Sonic Storm, Crisis City. It's just like the Sonic level in the original Sonic 06, minus the bugs and glitches, of course. After you finish the level, a cutscene plays that has Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles walking down an abandoned hallway. We've been looking everywhere for Shadow, Rouge, and Luminous, but there's no sign of them. We've spotted some Mobians hanging around the city, but they didn't seem to notice us. We tried speaking to them, but they didn't respond. It's almost like they're so devoid of hope, they don't see the point of doing anything. At that moment, the trio hears someone speaking. So she's the reason the world is like this? The voice was coming from a door opened slightly ajar. Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles peeked through the opening. Inside the room was Silver and another hedgehog. The hedgehog bears a striking resemblance to Shadow. However, unlike Shadow, the hedgehog's rings are silver, and whereas parts of Shadow's fur and clothing are red, parts of the hedgehog's fur and clothing are gray. The hedgehog also has green eyes with slit pupils and a pale muzzle with no mouth. There's something about this strange hedgehog that's sending chills down the spines of Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. On the wall is a large computer monitor displaying a picture of Elise. The hedgehog is pointing at the picture. Indeed, this girl is the reason the world suffers from the wrath of Iblis. In order to create a more better future, we will need to eliminate her. Silver seems put off by this. Eliminate? You said you want your efforts and hardships to mean something, didn't you? Yes, but then you must destroy this girl, or there will never be a good future. Silver sighs. Okay, we'll do it. Good. The hedgehog then places a hand on Silver's shoulder. I will take us to Soliana in the time period when the princess is still alive. With that, both Silver and the hedgehog vanish in a flash of purple. What was up with that guy? He looked just like Shadow. And that aurora he had. It was so scary. That's gotta be that Meplis Elise told us about. Tails walks into the computer room. Let's check out the computer's data. Maybe it can tell us the truth about how the world ended up like this. Sonic and Knuckles entered the computer room. As Tails checks the computer's data, what Tails discovers has him horrified. This is terrible! According to the data, after Eggman kidnapped Elise, his battleship exploded. No one knew how it happened, but the princess was killed in the explosion. And from the explosion came a huge fire monster. It rampaged through Soliana, reducing it to ashes. The creature was eventually subdued, but the damage was already done. Nearly every area of the world was reduced to ashes, and roughly 98% of all life on the planet was wiped out. While the creature is not as strong as it used to be, it still wreaks havoc in different parts of the planet. The creature has been given the name Iblis. Knuckles scratches his head. What the heck was Eggman cooking in that battleship of his that created Iblis? Beats me. Regardless, if we don't get back to our timeline, Elise will die in Eggman's ship. Sonic starts to leave the room. Come on, guys. We need to find Shadow, Rouge, and Luminous so we can get back to our timeline. And maybe if we rescue Elise, we'll be able to prevent Iblis from being formed. Tails and Knuckles follow Sonic out of the room. We then cut to Elise and Aurora in a cage. Don't fret, Aurora. Sonic and his friends will be back soon. That's not what I'm worried about. Since you warped Mr. Sonic and his friends into a time period where you sensed one of the other children of Solaris, and you sensed a jewel connected to the Gems of Miracles in the Echidna's possession, I'm sure Mr. Sonic and the others will be back very soon. But Eggman now knows that you're a child of Solaris, and if Eggman were to capture Solara and Luminous and obtain the Chaos Emeralds, as well as the destined hosts, he'll try to use the power of Solaris for his plans, and I dread to think about the kind of monster that would emerge. Elise takes Aurora's hand. Sonic was able to beat the odds and save the day several times before. I'm sure this time won't be an exception. How do you know that? You know how me and Luminous and Solara would often have dreams and visions of golden hedgehogs, and occasionally dreams and visions about their memories? Well, I've had dreams and visions about Sonic and his memories. You mean Sonic is your destined host? Exactly. I hope you're right about Mr. Sonic and his friends returning. But what should we do in the meantime? I'm going to get you out of here. Elise points to the Chaos Emerald sitting on a pedestal. I'll use that Chaos Emerald to warp you out of this cage. But how will you be able to do that? You won't be able to reach it. That's okay. It's just close enough for me to warp you at least a few feet from where you currently are. But what about you? I can't risk my body getting damaged without Sonic around. I'll wait for him to come rescue me. You take the emerald and get out of here. Okay. I hope I'll see you soon, Elise. Elise gives Aurora a hug and uses the Chaos Emerald's power to warp her out of the cage. Aurora then takes the emerald and leaves. We then cut back to Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles as they are walking through the dilapidated city. So here's my question, Knuckles. If you had the Master Emerald in your possession, why didn't you use it to warp us to safety? I didn't want to risk Eggman finding out that I have the Master Emerald in my possession. And besides, Eggman had us trapped inside some sort of special type of glass container that cancels out chaos control. At that moment, the trio find Shadow, Rouge, and Luminous huddled together. There you three are. For a moment, I thought. Sonic stops when he sees the tears streaming down Luminous's face. What's wrong? This atmosphere. I never felt so much despair in my entire existence, or in the existence of Solaris. It's going to be okay, Luminous. Knuckles has the Master Emerald, and you can use it to get us back to our timeline. Luminous closes his eyes. The despair I feel is not my own. It's the despair I sense from everyone in this world. And it breaks my heart knowing that everyone is living without hope. If only we can find a way to save them. And I'm not sure if we can. Don't fret, Luminous. We might not be able to help the people of this timeline, but we might be able to forge a timeline where this doesn't happen. I know. Just give me a moment. Luminous cries a bit more before he manages to compose himself. Okay, I feel better now. Now let's... Suddenly, an enormous monster bursts out, and a nearby pool of lava screeching. Sonic and the others stare at the creature. What in the world? The creature screeches again and projects a massive fireball from its mouth at the group. Sonic and the others barely manage to dodge it. Whatever that thing is, it doesn't seem very happy to see us. Come on, guys. Let's show that creature who's boss. First begins the boss battle against Iblis. For this boss battle, Iblis will be in the center of the battlefield, and the camera will be locked onto it. Iblis will be surrounded by rocks for Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles to platform on. You will need to jump onto different rocks to avoid the fireballs that rain down on the arena. Occasionally, a boulder will fall into the arena. Use Knuckles to punch the boulder so that it will strike Iblis, stunning it. While Iblis is stunned, use Sonic to perform a homing attack upon it several times, doing damage to it. Occasionally, the lava level will rise for a short period of time, and you will need to use Tails to bring Sonic and Knuckles up into the air so that you won't be insta-killed by the rising lava. After you finish the boss battle, a cutscene plays that has Iblis disappear back into the pool of lava. That creature. It was in that vision the Master Emerald gave me. That's gotta be that Iblis Silver was talking about. Shadow notices that Luminous looks very distraught. What's wrong, Luminous? I recognize her. Her? You're not going to believe this, but that creature was Elise. What? It makes sense now. While we were looking for you, we learned that the world ended up like this because Iblis was unleashed from an explosion that killed Elise. We now know how that's the case. Hold on a minute. Elise is a child of Solaris? Indeed. Back when me and my siblings made up Solaris, our soul was sealed away in a glass container so we'd be safe from those who would want to use our powers for evil. The king and queen fashioned a body for us to possess so we'd be able to move about freely and help others, like we did back in the day. But then an evil spirit named Mepolis tried to capture and subdue us. As a result, Solaris was split into 3 parts, leading to the creation of me and my siblings. Me and one of my siblings were each placed in a scepter. My other sibling was placed within the body the Queen and Duke had crafted for us and became Elise. When Elise was in that explosion, the body she was possessing must have shattered, and she was consequently captured and possessed by Mepolis. Luminous's eyes filled with tears. When we were fighting Iblis, I sensed no sign of Mepolis. That being said, I could still sense Mepolis' influence. Elise had been corrupted by Mepolis and had been rendered a shell of her former self. She's in so much pain and despair. I wish we can do something to free her from her miserable state, but I don't think we can. So if we don't get back to our rightful timeline, Elise will be captured and possessed by Mepolis, and both Elise and the world will suffer. Exactly. We must return to our rightful timeline and prevent it from suffering the same fate as this timeline. Master Emerald, and hands it to Luminous. Using the Master Emerald's power, Luminous summons a portal to bring everyone back to their rightful timeline. Sonic goes in first, followed by Tails, then Knuckles, then Rouge. Shadow and Luminous are about to enter the portal when Shadow suddenly finds himself bathed in purple and unable to move. The camera slowly pans out to reveal Mepolis standing behind him, with his hand also bathed in purple. Going somewhere? Shadow struggles against Mepolis' grip, but the more he struggles, the more painful it becomes. Luminous. Shadow. Using sheer will, Shadow extracts Luminous from his body, allowing Luminous to escape into the portal. Shadow then passes out, and Mepolis takes him away by the scruff of his neck. We then cut to Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Rouge
He's a rocket and he's ready to go, cause now the countdown has started and he's ready to blow. He's got the dope sounds bumping and his stereo, kicking ass fast and on the show. Don't wanna get yourself together, there's no time to rest. And if you put the time in, he'll put you to the test. He's like a running man in his world war.